All right, I'm here at Mosaic Compliance with Jim Ganther and the one and only Troy Duhon. Gentlemen, thanks for giving us some time today.
Hey, thanks for being here.
Okay, Troy, we are in your hometown.
New Orleans, yeah.
And so tell us what it's like just hosting the entire industry down the street.
One thing about New Orleans, we know how to throw a party, right?
True.
Even with snow and ice, we can still throw a party. But what dealers love about coming here is the food and the culture and the history. So like when you go down to the French Quarter, it looks the same today as it did 200 years ago. And then probably some of the best restaurants in the world are here with Emerald Lagassa, Commander's, Brennan's. So a lot of guys love coming here just to eat and, of course, drink and socialize.
Yeah,
so it's fun to host.
We've had some amazing food while we were here. Thanks for the hospitality. Jim, let's talk about compliance. So not too many kids, get in their 5th grade class and draw a picture of a compliance officer on the what you want to be when you grow up day.
Correct.
So how did you end up here?
I was that kid. No, being a compliance attorney in the automotive space was not on my bingo card as a kid. I actually wanted to be the senior senator from Wisconsin. That went to Ron Johnson, so I had to take second best.
Look, you got some runway left.
I'm not dead yet.
You know enough to not want it now.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
Moving
He
on.
wants it. He wants it.
Well, I'm having too much fun doing what I'm doing. And as long as the government is the government, I will never run out of work. Helping guys like this not run afoul of regulations that most dealer employees don't even know exist. I mean, how do you follow laws if you didn't go to law school? And, that's what we do. And I got into it because 25 years ago, I started representing an F&I agency. And the agent said, all right, here's the deal. In order to build my agency, I want you to be everybody's free lawyer. Become an expert in car law. And whenever my dealers have a problem, I'm going to refer them to you. You're going to fix the problem and send me the bill. Who doesn't like a free lawyer?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that
You want
makes
one
sense.
of those? And anyway, eventually my bills became too big, so he had to capture it. So I became in-house counsel for the F&I agency for 3 years, and that was my training. That was my post-grad degree in car law, and I've been doing it ever since.
Troy, I don't know if you drew a picture of a car dealer in 5th grade when they said.
I was definitely a car guy in 5th grade, no doubt about it.
Why so?
Because my daddy was in the car business, so the coolest thing is he'd come home with different demos. So he'd come home with a Magnum and a Superbird and a Hemi this and a Hemi that. So as a kid, especially a boy, you get enamored by these really cool, muscle cars in the 70s. So yeah, I wanted to be a car guy early.
Okay, so how did that transition? Now you are a top 50 auto group. How did that ride kind of make its way? Because the group has grown leaps and bounds in the last even 10 years.
Yeah.
So why was the aspiration and why did you want to get it to this side and where are you going with it?
My father convinced me that at the end of the day, it's about making dreams come true. So I find young car guys, I put them in the store, I give them equity so that they feel and think like an owner. Because at the end of the day, it's not what I accumulate, it's what can I pass to them wisdom-wise that they grow and eventually buy me out, and then they pass that wisdom to their kids and their grandkids. So I always thought of it as making a dream come true by taking a young car guy and making him a dealer. So that's how we grew. So the word got out that I did that, so people kept calling me. And the cool thing is they know the right deals to buy. They know the market. They know the people. Because at the end of the day, we think we're in the car business, we're really in the people business.
I agree with that. Now, as you get bigger, even when you're not as large a group as you are, it feels like there are more and more compliance issues that a lot of dealers are even unaware of until they come up. But there are also a lot of things you have to keep your eye on. What is your approach to compliance in 2025?
Because I saw the laws, and Jim and I had a lot of conversations, and I saw some friends of mine get fined, I took my son, who was a lawyer, and I made him the compliance. Said, son, your daddy was the rainmaker. He created it. Your job's to protect it. Because if you don't have a culture from the top down, so now all my partners now see, wait a minute, he took his son, who's a lawyer, and made him the compliance director. That tells me that Troy's serious about this. Now, don't get me wrong. We can have a rogue employee who does something wrong, and they come in and the FTC catches you and they fine you. What you want to avoid as a dealer is that it's a culture, because that's where they get really nasty. So we train as much as we can. It's like COE, condition of employment. They have to go through the training, and we mandate that we install these procedures. So whether it's Mosaic training. It's informative on all the safety requirements. We're going to make them do it because I don't want them to ever say, well, mate, you never taught me that. No, that's not true. I did. You chose not to do it.
So, Jim, in the midst of those challenges, how do you empower dealers like Troy and maybe other dealers who are serious about it, right, but maybe don't have a son or have the capacity to put a compliance officer in place? Like, what would you say to those dealers who are just like, I know there's probably some things that I need to avoid, but I don't know what they are. What's the low-hanging fruit?
Wow. Most dealers love to sell cars.
I don't know a single one that doesn't. Do you?
No, we do. That's what we do.
Yeah,
we love
okay.
cars.
We'll let you use an absolute.
Okay.
We're not in a marital argument.
All right.
Absolute's welcome.
Car dealers love to sell cars.
There you go.
And most of them, not all, but most of them didn't go to law school. Stay in your lane. The one thing that dealers bring to the table for compliance is the commitment. Some do, some don't. Troy does. And that is the essential element, as you described. I mean, putting your son in the compliance officer position is, this is like the heir.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not a disinterested compliance officer. You're literally playing with his personal future, so you should do things right. But assuming you have the commitment to do things right, you ask about what is the low-hanging fruit? What's the first thing you should do? After you commit, written policies and procedures. It's the very first line of defense. You have to have written policies and procedures that articulate what do we have to do, what do we expect, and then you have to have training on it. And all of this has to be documented, because if it's not documented, we manufacture admissible evidence, and that's important.
Did you just say we manufacture admissible evidence?
No, they do. Actually, any KPA report, any training through Mosaic can be subpoenaed if a disgruntled employee leaves and says you had a very unsafe, hostile, corruptible work environment. So their lawyers are going to subpoena all those documents to prove that either you didn't enforce what his training was, or you allowed people to get away with not passing. So there's always accountability.
So basically, part of your job is making sure that the dealer looks like a rock star, if ever it gets to the point.
Absolutely. I mean, Mosaic has been in business for over 18 years. We have never had a dealer successfully sued or fined for anything that we touch.
Wow.
And I don't want to jinx it, but we're undefeated for 18 years. And we do have some very high-profile dealership groups, which are our clients, that became high profile because of nationally known...
The wrong reasons.
Yeah, for all the wrong reasons. Then they become clients. And I'm thinking, would have been a whole lot cheaper if you'd been my client last year.
Right.
And finally, the last thing, policies and procedures, training, obviously all the safeguards, electronic, procedural, administrative safeguards. And you have to have an audit program. And I know that Troy does, because you can't expect what you don't inspect. You have to have close the loop. With an ongoing audit program, lather, rinse, repeat.
So, Troy, moving into 2025, new administration at the helm. What is your outlook? Is it going to get easier? Is it going to be more difficult? Is it going to be the same? How are you approaching this next administration?
So, obviously, we thought with the old regime that it was going to be really stern, really enforced. They hired all these, IRS agents, all these FTC agents. And you're still going to have it. You're not going to get away with, or they're just going to blow it off. No, they're not. They want us to play by the rules. You know what? As a dealer, I want to play by the rules. I want to sleep at night. I want my staff to do it the right way. Full transparency. There's no reason to do the old way. Just do it the right way. And when you do it the right way, people tell people, and then all of a sudden your business grows. But the key is, from a dealer's perspective, is to provide the training so they can never say it's a culture. Because normally when they come in for big numbers or big fines, it's because they prove that you had a anti-culture.
Jim, 2025, heading in. What do you think the new, I was going to call it the new regime, the new administration? People are going to give it either name and other names, I'm sure. What's your outlook for the new administration?
Well, I agree with Troy. You can't take the day off when it comes to compliance, because administration number 47 is not going to stop enforcement. They're not going to waste political capital by not enforcing the CARS rule. I see the CARS rule as coming. I mean, not a lot of people think it's not.
Yeah.
The question is, how broad is it going to be? And if Kamala had won, it would probably wind up being enforced as written. And I think that would have been a catastrophe. I believe under a Republican majority Federal Trade Commission, which we will get as soon as the 5th commissioner is confirmed by the Senate, we're going to see the CARS rule, I think, trimmed back to its essential core, which is codifying 16 specific classes of deceptive trade practices. But the offering price disclosures, which are just unworkable, and the express informed consent where signing a contract is no longer good enough, but we're not going to tell you what's good enough. I don't think that's going to survive, but the core of it will, and you got to take it seriously.
Well, I think regardless of who's in the White House or what's happening, I think you both are a great example of how when we pay attention to the details, we can continue to serve people and serve our customers unhindered. So Troy, Jim, thank you so much for giving us some time today.
Hey, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
That would be good.